all the people who worked together with him, Eliezer, and anybody else were part of his family. And he circumcised himself, okay? That's when he is 99 years old. Circumcised his son, Ishmael, and I believe he was at that time about 13 years old. And then circumcised everybody else. And from that point on until this very day, we do the brit, okay? That's the brit, that's the covenant between us and God. And it's not just we, the Jews. As a matter of fact, the Islam, the Muslims, they also follow the same route. Only, sorry. אני לא יכול לדבר, אני באמצע שיעור. אני אתקשר אליך אחרי זה. בבקשה. There's a big rabbi. He's a dayan. He's a judge. When people come to for divorce, he's in New York City. So I can't just ignore him. In any event, so we said that Abraham circumcised himself, and we said that Islam, they continue also with the same tradition, only they don't circumcise when they are 8 days old, but about when they are in 13-year-old, maybe because of the fact that Ishmael was circumcised at that age. But from that we have to understand the big effect that Abraham had on a lot of the world. We are talking about, the fact that he came up with the idea of monotheism, believing in one God. And nowadays, we know pretty much that maybe half of the world, or more than half, about 4 billion people, that they believe in one God. And he was the one to bring it to the forward. So now we come to our parasha. And in our parasha, Abraham, on the 3rd day after his Brit Milah, he sits outside his tent looking for a guest to extend his hospitality. While talking with the Almighty, he sees 3 visitors, which later on we understand is actually angels of the Almighty. And Abraham, he interrupts his conversation with God to invite them to a meal. And one angel, he informs him that in a year's time, Sarah, his wife, will give birth to a son, whose name will be Yitzhak. So that's the first part of the portion of Vayera. And then we go on that God tells Abraham that he's going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because of the absolute evil. Okay? The city is a source of the word sodomy. Because if you remember when they came to Lot later on and asked for these people or angels that they want to come, and they said Ve-Emunah otam, Ve-Emunah. The word lada, to know, in Hebrew is to actually have sex with them. Okay? And because they were men and they were men, So it's obviously they were gays, and that's where we get the word sodomy from these events that happened in Sodom at that time. So then Abraham is arguing with God to spare Sodom. If there can be found even 10 people, 10 people is a quorum. This is also something that we learn from that time to our time, that in order to have a quorum for service that is meaningful, we have to have at least a minyan. We have to have at least 10 people. So at the end, what happened was that Lot, he escaped with his wife and his two daughters. His two daughters were not married yet, and their husband was outside. They were laughing about the whole thing, that somebody comes and says that God is going to destroy. They were laughing. They didn't take it seriously, and so they did not join Lot. And they are not wives, but what do you call somebody who they engaged? You know, they were engaged to. So he did not. They did not join him, and only so it was only 4 people actually who left Sodom. But what happened later, God asked not to look backwards. When you are in a when you are running out of a destruction, like if a mountain explodes, like it was at the time of Pompeii, and there were people that either they didn't want just to run and leave all their belongings, everything, so they took a little bit more time to carry their belongings, or maybe they were just curious, looking back and to see what's happening to their city. And what happened, because they waited too long, when they started running away, the lava already covered them, and these people, they stood still there for all these years. Some people, when they go to visit these places, they actually see the form of a person who was killed at the time when Pompeii was destroyed. And this is the same thing here, because first of all, Lot himself was the same way. He was trying to save whatever properties that he had, tried to put it together, and until the two angels, they tell him, forget about everything, save your life. And so they had to actually pull him to come with them, and finally Lot's wife also came with them, but because of the fact that they were waiting too long, and then at the time she turned her face back for a little while, by that time the destruction came already very close to her. Okay, they were ahead of her, and so it covered her in the same way like the people in Pompeii, and she became in the form a piece of no, you have to help me.
Salt.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, it's my problem is really, I mean, I study everything I learn, it's always in Hebrew. So actually what I do is always I'm translating, and sometimes I can't find the words. Like, I mean, I was looking like the word akara, you know, akara, that Sarah היא הייתה עקרה, אין לה ולד. What does it mean? What's the word akara? Childless. Okay? Sarah, but it says back that Sarah, she was, but there is another word for akara. Barren, right? Barren? Okay. So she was barren. And then it says, en lavalad. En lavalad. She doesn't have a child. So the question is, of course, if she is barren, she doesn't have a child. So why do they have to say it? Why do they have to say it twice? Now, I'm going to tell you something that's very, very funny. Because yesterday I was talking to Nadia, okay? I was talking to Nadia. She was here, and I was going over the Parsha with her. Later on, we'll have something very strange in the Parsha. I don't know if maybe later when we put the first part on the screen, we will see that one word of the parasha, Vayomru Elav, okay, that on top of the word Elav, there are dots, okay? Very, very few places in the Torah where you have that. And not only in the Torah that we have, but in the Torah itself, the Torah that we have in the Ark. We know there are no vowels, no tropes, no nothing. Everything is blank. Maybe there is a little bit some ktarim, some, no, how do you call ktarim? Like a keter, what we put on a king.
Caps, crowns.
Crown. Okay, so if you look there, you'll see like little crowns, and it depends on the traditions. Sephardic, Ashkenazic, they have different embellishments of that, but there is no dots, there is no tropes. Okay, there is no vowels, but these small dots are on certain words, and the word is Elav. And we will try to understand it a little bit later and tell you that it doesn't matter who, but I think it was a great, great chidush that Nadia, she told me something and I was amazed because I didn't think about it, and I don't think anybody thought about this. But because of her experience, she understood it to be the way she did. But we will get to it a little bit later. So after the destruction of the Sodom and Gomorrah, we have other incidences with Avimelech, king of Philistine, and that he wants to marry Sarah. Okay, this is not the first time already we saw that Pharaoh he wanted to marry Sarah. Must be about some kind of a tradition among the kings. If they know that somebody is not married and she is very beautiful, they simply ask for her to come to see him. They will bring her to him. So then we have the eviction of Hagar. Okay, Hagar is Abraham's concubine, and Ishmael, Abraham and Ishmael, they were evicted twice. Okay, Hagar was evicted twice. Remember the first eviction, it was in Parashat Lech Lecha, when Sarah, she saw that she cannot bear children, and she said to Abraham, go and try to bear children with Hagar. And she thought by that fact, Shema ibane mimena, that I will be built through her. Okay? But what happened was that, Hagar, she got pregnant. And the minute she got pregnant, she says, she was like making fun of Sarah. Here she is, she was married to Abraham 50 years, nothing happened. And here she is, right away, she's having a child together with Sarah, when we're together with Abraham. When Sarah saw this kind of laugh, or maybe no respect, she did not have respect anymore to Sarai. So Sarai told Abraham that he has to throw this concubine out. She doesn't want him. Now, this is something that also we have to concentrate, and we have to think, how is Sarah Imenu, our mother, how she is able to do such a thing, to actually throw somebody out from her house, and not only somebody, but it was the wife of Abraham, and she was pregnant with his son, who is the Bechor. He is the first child. But that's okay. That's another question. I don't know if we will touch on it later on. It depends. And so, after, when Avimelech found out that Sarah was actually the wife of Abraham, he he was upset, and he called up Abraham, and why did you do that? And anyway, so he sent him together with a lot of gifts and everything. The next story, which is the main story of the Parsha, Abraham is commanded to take his son Isaac as an offering on one of the mountains, which is what we all know as Akedat Yitzhak. Okay? Now, these two stories about Hagar and her child, and the story of Akedat Yitzhak, of Isaac, these two stories, they are the readings of Rosh Hashanah, like most important day in our life. So first of all, I'm always amazed that we don't cover anything under the rug. If there is something bad, something happened that's not kosher, we write it down. Now, our rabbis and scholars, and they will always find a way to explain such situation. Always they will find. But is it the right way or not? That's another story. But we have to understand, like from the point of Sarah, what did she do? We have to know that Abraham and Sarah are the fathers and mothers of the whole generation to come. About Abraham, God says, Abraham is Av Hamon Goyim, that he is the father of many, many, many different nations. Actually, he is the father of all nations who believe in God. Sarah, however, she did not care too much about other nations. She cared about the Jewish people. She wanted to make sure that the Jewish people who are coming through her and through Isaac, that they are going to be receiving all the Brit, the covenant that God made with Abraham, that he's going to make him to a big leader and a nation, and that there will be like the stars in the sky and like the sand on the sea. Okay, so that's basically the last thing in the parsha, also very, very important, that we read about the birth of Rivka, Rebecca. Okay, the Rebecca, she's still in Haran. Okay, and Abraham then heard that his brother in Haran, he had another, I believe, 8 kids. He had 8 kids, and one of these kids was Betuel. Let's see, that's exactly in the last verse of Parashat Vayera. Okay, so Ubetuel Yalad et Rivka. Betuel being the father of Rebecca. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother, and his concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore children, Taba, Gaham, Tahash, and Macha. If you remember that God has promised when Abraham, he saw that he's going to God says that you are going to have another son whose name is Isaac. So I said that Abraham did not understand. Why do I need another son? I have already a son, and he is my eldest. He's the Bechor. Okay? So I said, Velu Ishmael. He is going to be the one. So God says, no. It's not going to be Ishmael. It's going to be Yitzhak. Okay? And so when we read at the end of the portion that Betuel Yalad et Rivka, okay, Rivka, we know that Abraham, he asked his lad, his Eliezer. I don't like to say slave. I don't believe that they had slaves. They were not a slave. They were like, okay, helpers, workers. And he asked Eliezer to go and find him a wife for Isaac. And for that, he didn't like the people. I mean, he was in Egypt, he was in Plishtim, and he is now in Israel, in Hebron. He doesn't like this. He wants to go back to where he came from and to get a wife for Isaac. And that's what he did. And he went there. Okay, so that's the whole, everything, like in short, about the portion of Vayera. Now, Dan, if you please, put the Parsha chapter 18, start at the beginning, and just get a little bit deep into the Parsha, not too much. We are not going to go here to the Gemara or to Rishonim, Achronim. We'll stay mostly with the simple explanations of Rashi and some others of his time. But see, I'm holding here Etz Chaim, okay? Etz Chaim. when we look normally in a regular traditional Chumash, it says there is the text of the parsha, and then you have onkelos, which is a translation to Aramaic, okay? And then you have Rashi, okay? And you have maybe some other commentators. But basically in every one you're going to find the translation, not to English, I mean to Aramaic, and Rashi in everyone. But in Etz Chaim, the same thing that when we had before we had the Chumash of Hertz Chumash, they put the Chumash together without they were using Rashi, they were using other commentators, but they are not telling us who. Sometimes they'll have a reference to who they are talking about. Okay? So now we have, can you make it a little bit larger? Because we are old people, you know, we don't see too good. Very good. So what we'll do, I will go back to my young days. And when I was a teacher in Israel, and I was a teacher here in yeshiva for maybe 8 or 9 years. And my way of teaching the Chumash and the Nevi'im was basically I was going through the verses, and then I was asked the students to tell me what if they have any problem with what they are writing, if they have any questions. And then from that, we go and try to find the answers. So this is the way we are going to try to deal with whatever, you know, part of the parasha, whatever we are able to learn. So I'm going to ask someone to read. We'll read the first 5 verses. Somebody can read in Hebrew, and somebody can read in English. Okay? We have a volunteer for Hebrew. We have a volunteer for English.
I'll read, Rabbi Mordechai. It says.
Okay, Israel. So you wait a second. What? So, Ruth, maybe you want to read the Hebrew, or?
I have to I read like a first grader.
Well, all right. You will try. I'll help you.
No, I'm struggling.
Okay. So I'll do the Hebrew. You'll do the. If somebody wants to read the Hebrew, please let me know. וירא אליו אדוני באלוני ממרא, והוא יושב פתח האוהל כחום היום. Easy?
The Lord appeared to him by the terebinths of Mamre. He was sitting at the entrance of the tent as the day grew.
וישא עיניו וירא, והנה 3 אנשים ניצבים עליו, וירא וירץ לקראתם מפתח האוהל, וישתחו ארצה.
Looking up, he saw 3 men standing near him. As soon as he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to greet them and bowing to the ground.
How come mine screen, it doesn't go up? I didn't see the English. Okay, so go up. ויאמר אדוני, אם נא מצאתי חן בעיניך, אנא תעבור מעל עבדך.
He said, my lords, if it please you, do not go on past your servant.
I don't see. יוקחנה מעט מים ורחצו רגליכם וישענו תחת העץ.
Let a little water be brought. Bathe your feet and recline under the tree.
ויקחה פת לחם וסעדו לה לבכם, אחר תעבורו, על כן עברתם על עבדיכם, ויאמרו כן תעשה כאשר דיברת.
And let me fetch a morsel of bread that you may refresh yourselves. Then go on, seeing that you have come your servant's way. They replied, do as you have said.
Okay, so we read the first 5 verses. Now, of course, those people who understand Hebrew, they will have more questions, because the words in Hebrew, we know that every verb in Hebrew can be conjugated to almost 100 words. From one root, you have almost 100, maybe more. So when you read the Hebrew, you understand. So, but okay, so we finished. Let's see, anybody can have any question, please. Okay. Please raise your hand.
Shelley, what is this Vasadu?
Saadu, it's from the word Seuda. Seuda is a meal. Saadu, Vesaadu libchem. It's interesting, they said Vesaadu and like Saadu with your hearts. Not they said Saadu in pichem with your mouth, but libchem. And it happens many times before. Okay, so that's something that we can try to explain. Next. Nobody has any problem? I mean, I have many. No. So, okay, maybe I start and then go. First of all, we start with this word, vayera. Okay, what is the word vayera? What is the root of the word vayera?
Lirot, to look.
Very good. So, ro'eh, vayera, ro'eh, to see. And then if you look on the second verse, Vayisa enav vayar. Do you see? Is it exactly the same letters? Vayar והנה 3 אנשים ניצבים עליו, vayar וירץ לקראתם. It's exactly the same letters. Only the vowels are different. Mm-hmm. And in these 2 words, the first meaning, Vayisa enav vayar, he raised his eyes, vayar, and he saw these 3 people, ניצבים עליו, וירץ לקראתם. What is the second vayar?
Don't need it.
Yeah, actually you can say that you don't need it, but it's there.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, he actually looked at them and he saw them. But then the second vayar, it's like it dawned on him, he understood, okay, why they are there. But both, all of this, they are still from the same root of ro'eh. Now, if you think a little bit, there is another portion in the Torah that's also very similar to Vayera. Do you know which portion in the Torah? On the book of Exodus, we have Shemot, what's the next portion after Shemot? It's called Va'era. Va'era. Va'era el Moshe. וידבר אל משה, וידבר אלוהים אל משה, ויאמר אליו אני אדוני, וארא אל אברהם, אל יצחק ואל יעקב ואל שדי. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, at El Shaddai. So again, there is a slight difference, but still it comes from the same root of Hora, but it's in a different timing, okay? Va'era in Vayar, it's in the present tense. Va'era in the past. I saw them, and I
appeared unto them, isn't it?
Yeah, I appeared to them, right? But when you see,
I mean, it's
Vayar,
more passive.
But in the second verse, where it says Vayar, it's actually that he saw them at the present. He saw. Vayar והנה שלושה אנשים. וירא אליו השם, it doesn't have to be, I mean, God, he's not, it's not like you can see God, but you can like imagine in your mind seeing God, okay? Now, so God is presenting himself to Abraham, and he does it in this place, Ve-Emunah Mamre. Okay? So first we have to ask ourselves, why all of a sudden God is coming here to Abraham? For what reason? That's a question you should ask. I mean, does God appear to you every day and at any time? I mean, there must be a reason. Why did he come?
We don't know yet.
It doesn't say God anyway. It's three people.
No. Why I said Vayar Elav Adonai. The Lord appeared to him, to Abraham. For what reason he appeared to him?
Mm-hmm.
If you have Rashi, and if you look at Rashi, okay, because I asked also for the commentary to be there, but unfortunately we couldn't get the commentary. So Rashi says that it was the third day after the circumcision. And as we know, the third day is the most painful day after the circumcision. God simply came to visit him. Like it's a Bikur Holim, to come to visit the sick. So basically that's the reason why he came.
Cantor,
Yeah.
for me, the mysterious thing about this is, if God is talking to Abraham already anyway, what does he need three angels to tell Abraham something that he could tell him directly anyway?
Okay, so actually, I mean, and this is all, I mean, I'm not making anything up. If there is something that I make up or that somebody else is making up, I would tell you just to show you that actually there are many ways of looking at things. So, why didn't God himself tell him the whole story? Why did he need the angels? So first of all, let's finish understanding the the first. So he came to him be'elonei mamre. What is elonei mamre? Okay, elonei mamre. It says here. Can somebody read? Terebinth of mamre.
Terebinths, yeah.
Terebinth. Now, are you familiar with this word? How many are familiar with this word?
Not at all. No.
I never know this word. I mean, first time I'm reading it. The terebinth. Okay, so, but the word alone, alone, what's a, oh my God, what's alone, the translation of,
Palm tree?
hmm,
Have to get my phone.
Oaks, it says. An
Oak.
oak tree. Oak tree.
Yeah, all right, so, an oak tree. Now, now the word mamre, okay, by the way, in the previous parsha, it says that it was be'elonei more, that he was talking to God in elonei more. The word more, it means what?
Teacher?
More is a teacher, yeah. So mamre comes from the same root, and basically these places, alonei mamre, elonei more, they were places that will show the people who are traveling, and people all the time, they were traveling at that time in the desert. They were places that will guide them. They will show them where where to go. What is the next stop? Which way you have to go? Left or right? South, north? So you can talk about Elonei Mamre in general, that it's just he came to him in a place where he was camping there until he gets to the next place. Or according to what Rashi says, that actually Elonei Mamre, it's in Hebron. He says that it is Hebron, that he came to visit him in Hebron. Now, how did he get to Hebron? I don't know. He was in Egypt, okay, and then from Egypt he went up north on the west, and then you have to cross over to the other side to the east to come to Hebron. Hebron is next to Jerusalem, about 4 miles out of Jerusalem. So, in any event, it can be an actual place like Hebron, or it can be just a place where people who are wandering from one place to another, they find a place that maybe it has some road maps in it, or some people tell you how to go from here to there. Same thing like we have here, rest areas nowadays, and you go into the rest areas if you are on the New York thruways, and inside you can find maps and all kinds of things that will show you the way from one place to another. Of course, this is also not true anymore. People have the phone and they follow everything on the phone. But we know what was at that time. Now, the next thing it says, Peta Haohel. He was sitting at the opening, at the entrance of the tent, Kehom Hayom, as the day grew hot.
I don't know about that. They grew hot.
Kehom Hayom. Well, actually, the commentator explains that it's like in the middle of the day where it is very, very hot. And normally people at that time, they are not uh, traveling from one place to the other. And normally they go either in the morning or in the evening. During the day, most people they take siesta. I know in Israel we have siesta from 12 to 2 or from 1 to 3. You go home and you take a rest. Same thing I know in France and other places. We don't have it here in the United States, but normally, especially those time, there was no air conditioning. It was very difficult to do business in the middle of the day. People normally are closed, but Abraham anyway was sitting at the entrance, even though it was very hot, and even though he was sick and he was painful, and he was waiting for guests that he can welcome them to his tent. Okay? So originally nobody was supposed to be there, yes. But later on, God saw that Abraham was he felt the pain of Abraham, that he cannot do this mitzvah of getting people to come to visit him. So he brought these three men, these three angels, and to make him happy, actually, to make him happy. Okay, is that in some way answers your question, Bob? Hello, Bob.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a good answer.
Okay. So, and then we continue on by saying why there were three angels. So now we know
Except Cantor,
yeah.
actually, I have a feeling that if I'm talking to God, that makes me happy enough and I don't need three men.
Okay, but we are going to see that Abraham thinks a little bit different. Okay, Abraham, he stopped the conversation with God and he ran, vayaratz likratam, and he ran towards these people and he bowed down to them. Now, we know that Abraham was the person who has welcome people, hospitality, that he did hospitality. I don't know. I have to understand. I don't know what it is. I'm confused with the time. Well, what is the time now?
How do you mean?
It's 5 to 12.
Yeah. Oh,
5 to 12. And this thing is supposed to go only about 45. I don't understand how that, I have no idea. But in any event, so let's finish because
Cantor, could I just say you did
Yeah.
the exact same thing? You got a call from an eminent person before, and you stopped that to talk to us.
Right, very good. So why? Because, and God himself, he was okay with it, because God wants us to take care of our brethren, okay? To be hospitable to others. It's a very, very big mitzvah. And this is what Abraham was doing. So it was okay with God, it was okay with Abraham that the conversation with God stopped for a while or ended. But let's understand only about Shlosha Anashim. What is first they say three men. Who are these three men? Why did they come? Why did they have to be three and not two and not one? So now that we know that they are angels, okay, we know that angels, when they are sent to us, to earth, everyone has only one mission. He cannot come with two missions. So every one of these had a mission. What was the mission of the first one? The second and the third. Tell me, what are the missions that they have?
One has to announce that Isaac will be born.
Very good. So that was one reason that Isaac is going to be born. Next. One was to cure actually Abraham, to make him, to make him feel better. And the third one, he came to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, and we will see later on they came three, but when they went to Sodom and Gomorrah, there were only two people. One to save Lot, and the other one to actually destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, I'm going to finish here, but I just want to go back to what I started with. The word Vayomru Elav. These angels, they asked Abraham, Vayomru Elav, Aye Sarah Ishtecha, where is your wife? Okay, but before this word Elav, because there is more dots than letters, then the word Elav becomes Ayo. Ayo is the same thing as Aye. Ayo is where, and Aye is where, but Ayo is to a man, and Aye is to a woman. Now, why did they say Ayo? So Nadia is telling me that in those days, a woman who did not have a uterus, a womb, she was not considered a woman. And that's why they refer to her as a man. And she was telling me stories that not only, even during the time of her grandmother, there was a story with her that also she had a problem with her uterus, and the doctor said to take it out, and she insisted, no, there is no way that they will take it out. If they take it out, she stops to be a wife, a mother, a woman. So they didn't let them take it out. So anyway, I heard it, and to me it was a great chidush. I
Very
said,
good.
say it to you. Okay, so have a good week, and let's hope that whatever happens on Tuesday, it will be only to the betterment of our lives here in Israel and the whole wide world. Amen.
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 Thank you, Rabbi.